United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That clock's a little fast.
Morning, Randy, can you hear us?
No, it's not on
Okay.
Jonah, that clock's a little faster.
We're not hearing nothing now, you're
On the
that.
computer.
There we are.
You here? Okay.
What's on the computer?
Oh, yeah, no, it was 9:01, so that's what I got.
Mine's 9, yeah, this now turned 9.
Okay. So mine's
Before the newspaper holds that, you start.
This conference will now be recorded.
That's why we do that. They can watch it back. All right, so any public comments come in? Okay. No public comments, so we'll move over to the COVID-19 updates if Deidre's available.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning.
There's nothing new to report, but if you looked at KDHE's map, you saw that Marion County is listed as having 6 cases. And I would like to explain this a bit. On Thursday, when it popped up, it showed 5 confirmed cases and 1 probable, for a total of 6 cases. Then on Friday, it was changed back to 6 cases, not showing the 1 as probable. Today, it's back to showing a probable. So I'm not sure how that's gonna continue to be reported. But on May 7th, KDHE began reporting the probables, and this involved retroactive data. So please be aware that that view may change. If Tina wants to, she has it pulled up, but if she can go down and click on, or just hover over Marion County, you see that it has the 5 confirmed and 1 probable. If she clicks one time on that, that will if you just kind of click
Yeah, it didn't hit.
once and then scroll down and see if there's a bar graph listed. Yeah, that bar graph, the first one, it shows when the cases were, the symptoms started and the date they were diagnosed. Then the next case, or the next bar graph, it shows you the daily counts of new cases and the total cases reported. So if you see that we had the 4 cases between April 2nd and 6th, one of those, which was a probable, and that was actually on April 4th. If you remember back to those dates, there wasn't a lot of testing supplies available. So that is why if a case was a contact of a positive case, and they came down with symptoms, they weren't tested, they were just listed as probable. So that's what that case on the 4th was probable. We did not report it, KDHE wasn't reporting that, but those probable cases were treated as a case. So they were isolated, their contacts were quarantined as if they were an actual case. So at this time, all our cases are out of quarantine or isolation, and they pose no risk to the community at this time. So I just wanted to point that out. I'm not sure how KDHE is going to start reporting that, if they're going to continue to write probable on there, or if they're going to be confirmed. So I also want to point out that KDHE is only going to update these maps Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So that will be a change. I will continue to report to the press the positive lab confirmed cases. And as long as supplies are available, they will probably test contacts of positive cases. that are symptomatic. In certain situations, they will be testing asymptomatic patients or contacts also. So that could change. Tomorrow, all this the testing requirements may change. Does anyone have questions on how to navigate through KDHE? Because if you're a business owner or even family, for your families, there's very good guidance on there. And I would like for you to become familiar with that, because their guidance does change too. As they learn more about the disease, the guidance can change. And as the governor opens up the phases, we need to be aware of the guidance and continue to practice that guidance. On Friday, we had some posters made to wear masks. And it's important that if you're out in public, that you do wear a mask. If you go into the grocery store, go into a retail store, please wear your mask. Because even though we're moving through these phases, and if the governor does move to phase 2, we need to continue as an individual. It's our responsibility to practice social distancing, wash our hands thoroughly with soap and water or hand sanitizer if available, wear a mask in public, and if we are going to still encourage high-risk individuals to stay at home and only travel when essential. Do you guys have any questions? I have Dr. Hodson here also, so if you have questions for him.
Deidre, this is Kent. At some point, when these folks that are positive test negative, are they going to come off of that count?
No, they will always be in account because that's how many cases. And we don't, at this point, we don't test. So once they test positive, they are in isolation for a period of time. Now it's 10 days after the first onset of symptoms, or 72 hours after they're fever-free, or when they're well. And that is the guideline that we use to get them out of isolation. Contact
Deidre, you need to lean into your mic.
Pardon me?
What, you're breaking up on us.
Okay, the quarantine for these contacts is actually 14 days after their last day of contact with the positive case, once that positive case is well.
Basically 21 days or something like that after the case is diagnosed. They're pretty well.
So then are they dropped off of the case list is what the question is?
No,
I'd like to
they're
have
not.
that answer myself.
She's saying that they don't.
They won't
Well, that's
ever
kind of
be,
misleading.
once they're positive, our numbers will never change. You know, once you've been identified as a positive case, you will be a case, even though you've recovered, that number won't drop. Does that make sense?
How about death?
No.
So Deidre, this is Diane. Can I ask you, I understand what you're saying, that a case is a case, but can we have 2 reportings, that there were 5 cases and maybe 1 active or no actives at this time? Can we include that? Because I really think that to continue saying we have 5 is very misleading, and I just think to be a little bit more accurate, we can at least add something to clarify exactly where we do stand. And then secondly, I want to ask you, we're talking about wearing a mask in public. I'm asking, I'm sure you're just making that as a suggestion, am I correct?
Yes, that is a strong encouragement to the public, that not only protects you from the public, but it also protects the public from those who are potentially have the virus, but they're asymptomatic.
So the answer is yes, it's just a suggestion, right?
Yes, it's just a suggestion. I mean,
That
it's
is correct. I have
it's
not made it
recommendation.
a mandate for
Deidre, you keep falling away from your mic or your connection is faltering.
Okay, so, but the cases are, if you look at that bar graph, it will show what the cases, the blue bars are when, like on that first graph, are when their first symptoms developed. That yellow or golden part is when they were diagnosed. So we can, illness varies, or the time that they're in isolation from when they're identified as positive, that varies. So to report every day, like when we have cases, to report that daily about if they're active or not, that, I mean, we might be able to do that at this point, but if we start getting a lot of cases or even a lot of contacts, I just want you to realize that as the governor opens things up, one positive case, they have a lot more contacts than they did when we were shut down and had stay-at-home orders. You know, they may only have just their family as a contact, where now as if we're starting to move around, they've gone to, you know, different businesses, they've gone to friends' parties, they've gone to gatherings. So we're gonna see more contacts, and right now, the contacts are contacted every day to check in with them, to see what their symptoms are. So the investigation and that workload is gonna be more as we're moving. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but I still say, I'm still asking the question, and I understand your investigation, and I understand all the different parts that you have in that investigation, but I'm asking to have more clarification on the facts of active cases.
We asked this question 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
We have no infectious cases.
Correct, but to get that out into the public, to keep saying we have 5, or we have 6, or whatever. I don't mind saying that, but then I also don't mind saying after that, but no active
No,
cases.
I agree with you. I'd like to see it from KDHE.
Okay.
I've been
Yeah.
asking for it for a while.
Yeah, I
but-
mean, why are we not presenting all the clear facts? I mean, it just sounds like a mystery to me.
Okay, then I will continue. I will say, as of now, we have no active cases and there's no community risk as of now. And I will start presenting that on Mondays.
It's a start.
Yes, it is, that's a start, thank you.
Yeah, Randy?
Yeah, Deidre, is one of these active, or one of these 5 cases, a death? One of them, just one of our 5, there's only one death?
We've had one death out of our cases, yes. And that was reported at that time.
Oh, no.
And that's one of these 5?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Anybody else have anything for Deidre? Deidre, I had heard that FDA has allowed an antibody test. Have you heard anything about that?
There are a lot of antibody tests out there, but at this time, KDHE is not recognizing that as a sole diagnostic tool. So they have to have a PCR test or a nasal pharyngeal or a nasal swab done in conjunction with that for it to be counted as a positive.
Right, and that's only only can be tested while they have it or have symptoms. So we can't.
The PCR.
Yeah,
while they have the virus.
Yes. But once they've recovered, the only way to know that that they've had it in the past is the antibody test.
Yes. The PCR test, though, is very sensitive. So you may have a patient, and that's what they're gonna start doing in nursing homes. If there was to be a positive case, they wanna test all staff and all residents, even if they're asymptomatic, so they can try and contain the virus quicker.
The only reason why I bring up the antibody test is because it allows you to get a real snapshot on the mortality rate. If you're only going off of your active cases, when people show symptoms, you don't know what that true rate is without knowing that, you know, thousands of others have already had it, then it will drop your mortality rate.
Well, it's, the antibody test just has not been, there's a lot of things that you can't tell from it. And so they're working on actually, because you can't tell how long a person has had it with that. You can't tell how long they'll be immune to it.
Right.
So there's a lot out there to be discovered yet.
Right, I was just pointing more towards the factual data, so you can actually know what disparity of it is. Anyway.
Yeah, and I think, like Dr. Hudson said, it will probably take a year or so before we know that. Now, I don't know if you all have heard they're doing wastewater testing for the virus. And that is in the very early stages of that. What they're trying to do is figure out when it shows up in wastewater, is the community at the beginning of a cluster, or are they at the end of the cluster? But they're thinking that by testing wastewater at some point, they'll be able to identify which community there may be a potential spread. But that, again, is in the very early stages right now.
Yeah, they started that in Texas, I believe, right?
Yeah, they've actually done it in quite a few places.
Yeah. The other thing, and I don't know if it's controversial or what, but I seen a report on a nursing home in Texas, and the doctor started administering hydroxychloroquine day one as soon as everybody started getting symptoms. The reports out were that it was 98% success on the nursing home. I don't know.
I think there again.
That just brings me to my next question: is are we sufficiently adequate with our supplies of that drug in case we would need to administer it?
I would have to check on that. I can't answer that. There's a lot of risk to that medication. And that would be a question that I can maybe get, and maybe Dr. Hudson could speak to that.
Isn't that the drug that they give to everybody that goes overseas?
I think Dr. Hudson's.
Well, they were at a time. The most recent study that came out in the Journal of American Medical Association just 4 or 5 days ago indicated that it did not change the death rate at all. And the FDA has basically taken all recommendation for use off of the drug at this point. So that's where it stands as of now.
I've heard story after story after story.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the big test that came out of France showed it very successful
Mhm.
with hardly any side effects.
I've heard a lot of stories out of New York that were successful. Heard that story out of Texas in a nursing home, that one really struck home.
That's the difference between commercial medicine and everything rolling.
So okay, well,
There's yet no true evidence, like you're saying, there's stories.
yeah,
So until people actually study it and say, okay, it's actually working, and to this point, the studies they have done that on with ill people showed actually it was a little bit worse outcome on the people that had the hydroxychloroquine that were hospitalized.
that were hospitalized, yeah. Everything else is if you
Yes.
administered it before hospitalization.
Right, and does that work? Nobody knows. There are the stories like you're talking about, but unless you have a study where you say you're going to give it to half of the people and not the other half, and then, watch both groups for their response,
Right,
you just can't really say that it works.
right. You've always got to have a method and control.
Yeah.
I'm taking it.
Yeah,
Didn't kill me.
so, okay, well, does anybody else have anything?
No.
No? Okay, thank you for your time. Is Randy, Frank have anything?
Just a couple extra things. Just to follow up on Deidre's comment about the media campaign. Excuse me. Virginia Ball is an original Rose of the Riveter who lives down in El Dorado. She's our focus on our campaign, and she's the one helping cheer this on. Basically, to get up and have the go-to attitude. Just a little history. Virginia's husband was a World War II veteran who served during that time while she was a Rose of the Riveter. So the news release was sent out this morning to all the medias. If the media's listening, you should have it in your email by now. Also, I'm working with KDM and FEMA on our public assistance program, moving that forward. For any of you that have to travel for business, you may or may not have heard that last week the Topeka service area on I-70 at mile marker 188 was linked to several COVID-19 cases. It's currently closed. They're cleaning it up. Just again, remember to wash your hands and social distancing. Governor Kelly announced that Kansas received $8.9 million grant to be used for early childhood services through this process. The food banks are seeing an increase of 30% due to the pandemic. They say the need is up, but the donations are down. So if any of our food banks are part of the state system, and I believe most of them are, reach out to the state as they have more resources for you to use. Excuse me. Also, the Kansas Department of Revenue is planning to reopen several of the driver's license bureaus starting tomorrow. That's all I have.
Randy, this is Kent. I've got a question. You say you are working on the FEMA PA program grant?
That's correct.
Okay, I sat in on a seminar with that last week, and I mean, that sounds like something that we could utilize, well, I don't know how quickly, but a lot quicker than anything else that FEMA's got. And they went over, the criteria of what would qualify for that, and the sneeze guards are part of that. So, we just expended over 10,000 on that. So I would hope that all of that would be included in your application.
The PA grant's the one that I spoke about several weeks ago that we started the whole process with. It's the same grant with FEMA, and yes, it is part of that. They did allow that about 2 weeks ago. They put that on the list of things we could request reimbursement for.
Right. Yeah, and the threshold for that's pretty low, $3,300 in expenses. So I would guess that there's going to be a lot of utilization of that program.
Yes.
Looks like Randy's trying to talk.
Randy, this is Randy. How's that gonna be followed? I mean, how's the bills gonna come through that program? Are they gonna go through your office, or does you and Tina have some connections there, or just how's it gonna be tracked?
The connection is with Tina's office because they pay all of our bills, so they'll have all the receipts that are being coded. Anything that's going to be used for the COVID program is processed. Individual department has a right in COVID-19 or just COVID on their bills as they submit them for payment. And we'll be able to put all that together.
Okay, like our masks, have we ordered stuff like that too?
Yes, I didn't know you ordered masks, but yes, they would mask are eligible.
Okay. All righty, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Randy, is the documentation for that being handled through your office?
Yes, every emergency manager in this PA, typically the emergency managers don't do it instead of the KDM, but because it's such a large event, there's not enough FEMA people to send out to take care of every county. So every emergency manager now is the one that has to put in the information for this, for each county.
Yeah, I noticed that any overtime that has been incurred due to COVID is also qualifies under that.
It has to be linked to the COVID.
Yes, both emergency management and EMS.
That's correct. But we have to have a link to the COVID.
Right.
And I believe the sheriff has a little bit of time too. We visited.
I stopped by and seen Randy the other day out in the health office, and it's definitely a command center.
Yeah.
He's on point, trying to take care of stuff for us, so.
He always does a good job.
So, if that's all you have, Randy, I guess,
Yes.
I'll move on to administrative business. Thank you for your
Thanks.
time.
Yes, sir.
Okay, in your packets, you had several just informational items. There was some information from KAC about property tax deadline, which has not been extended by the state. There was a letter from Labette County. They're seeking some support on an issue that they had in their county.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we couldn't direct the appraiser's office to see if that's gonna have, what kind of impact that might have on us.
I mean, everybody's, is the day the date?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm talking about Labette County.
Oh, okay.
There's 3 counties in southeast Kansas that have an issue with evaluations on oil properties.
I think we should follow up as
Right,
well.
that's why I was wondering if we could get some information from the appraiser's office,
Oh, yeah.
what kind of impact that might have on us.
I think so.
Without a doubt, we'll see it next year.
Yeah.
Because it's retro, so it's severance from the year before.
Right.
And so with oil prices being so low, it's definitely going to be an issue. And most of the wells are shut down, so there is no revenue being made.
Which I'm sure a lot of them are, especially in our area.
There's not very many running.
It would still be nice to have more information to
Yeah.
see what needs to be
Yeah,
followed.
it may be a little bit more impactful than
Yeah.
we realize.
She should probably present it.
Okay.
I know pretty well. It's gonna be hurt. It's gonna hurt. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't have any problem with having Lisa.
Yeah, I think a little research helpful.
Have you had a public notice that was in your packet about,
Oh, the KDHE.
yeah.
Yeah.
You get those regularly, but this one, usually we don't get it directly from the applicant, we usually get it from KDHE, so. Anyway, that's in your packet.
So is that the one for the hog farm?
Mhm.
That's what that's all about, the hog farm? Okay.
And then you have,
Yeah. Well, I understand that, that's already an existing hog farm, right? They're just making some changes.
I think it was a
It was-
cattle farm, but
I
now
thought
they're
it was
making
an
it into a
expansion.
farm, to a hog farm, the way I read it.
I thought it was existing and they were just.
It says they're modifying their livestock waste management to facilitate and serve a swine operation.
Hmm.
So that tells me, and I think that farm was a cattle, pretty much. They might have had some hogs, but I think they were predominantly cattle in the
Okay.
past.
Must have
My
crossed the
thought.
threshold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll freshen our air with incomes from the south.
I still like to.
Maybe it'll kill the COVID.
I still like to keep my freezer full
You
of
think?
beef and pork, so.
Okay.
Change orders?
yep.
This one we just signed. Oh, that one must have been previous year.
We have some earned checks.
Okay.
Oop.
I don't want to
There was one more
do
there.
nothing.
Okay.
So,
Three different signature pages.
yeah,
Grand total of $13,427.50.
so, if you want a further breakdown on the risk management, fund, this is some COVID expenses. 3 of them were for invoices for IT related to COVID that were not turned in or didn't get submitted timely for payment, so those are in. And then we have the payment for the sneeze guards, and that amount for that was the $10,692.50. And then we have, just out of the road and bridge special equipment fund, we have $100 origination fee for the lease purchase of the bulldozer that you guys had previously approved. We're finally getting delivery of that, so we have those documents to finalize today, so.
Anybody have any issues with any of that? All right, I would go ahead and make a motion to approve the total amount of early checks in the amount of $13,427.50.
Second.
Second by Kent. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 5. Ask Randy if you can use the stamp.
Oh, yeah. Randy, shall I use your stamp on the vouchers? Okay,
Yes.
thanks.
minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes? Any questions or concerns with the minutes? All right,
I'll make a motion to approve the May 4th minutes as written.
I'll second them.
motion by Kent, second by Dave. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
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 I do have a salary sheet here.
Alright, so we have a salary change for communications. Savannah Hicks from 1506 to 1518. 5-year longevity is 911 systems operator. Randy, did you hear that last one? Okay, I didn't know if I was close enough to my mic.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Okay.
Okay. In your packets, you had the lease purchase paperwork for the dozer through Marion National. And so we do have that, we have received it, and we need to approve the agreement and authorize the chairman to sign.
Any concerns with the agreement? If not,
And this is with Marion National.
would entertain a motion
We've already approved it, haven't
to sign.
Yeah, you've approved the lease purchase, it was just the, approve the agreement and authorize the chairman to sign.
we? Okay, I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Kent, second by Dave. Any other discussion?
I'm still gonna say that I think it's a shame that we keep, financing everything, we're just spending money head over heels and wasting it with interest. That's my comment.
Some of it is,
Encumbering money for the future.
yeah, well, if anybody could have predicted what happened 2020, there'd probably be more of that. That's all I'm saying. It's a lucky, it's lucky that some of the things did go that way. But,
I disagree with that, but.
you know, under normal circumstances, I probably would agree with you a little more, but not having the force, not having the ability to see what just hit us in the face, just, it's been a lucky break.
So the next thing that we're, and this is just the next thing that we're gonna be doing the same thing is that $50,000 deal, okay? So what that does now is that just gives Bryce an additional $50,000 in spend, so we're increasing his spending and increasing our encumbrances in the future, so.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just think that's the wrong way to go, but I'm gonna go ahead and approve it because it's what the board,
Yeah,
in this case, I'm gonna approve it
Okay.
because.
We've directed him against any large capital expenditures until we get the budget.
Yeah. Okay. So, after that, is there any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 5.
Okay,
Unanimous.
let's see, I'm not sure if I have that in here.
That's okay, I can sign it after.
Nope, it is, I was like, I should have it. Okay, and just as an update on the other, on the new request for bids for lease purchase, I did send it out. And so that has gone out to all the
Okay.
local banks. Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Jonah,
Yes, yes, sir.
I see down there on the bottom, the Lake Hall repair metal roof, multiple leaks it seems.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's still original metal on there. I don't know exactly how old that is, but, I'm just saying that, is it ever time to replace?
Yeah, how old is that lake hall?
I
50 years?
can't say, you know?
40, 50 years probably, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's time for a new sheeting, if that's the case.
If that's the original, probably is, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I just would,
Nothing left to fix.
Well, metal doesn't
Maybe
deteriorate
it's-
that fast.
time to have somebody that's in the metal field take a look at it for, I'd hate to spend on leaks and then we come back next year, same thing.
Right.
And what I'm asking for in the request for bids is for them to give a recommendation on whether it should be repaired or replaced, and also include what
Okay.
materials and et cetera. So I can change that, to say, on the bottom, to say repair or replace.
Okay, that's good, Tina, thank you.
Okay. So Randy had just brought up, but the next thing in your packet is the RFP for the roofing. These are ones that are not due to recent storm damage, but I do wanna let you all know that we did have some storm damage, especially out of the lake, so there will be some additional roofing things going on out there, but that will be handled through the insurance as an insurance claim. We also had some vehicle damage at the lake and some damage to equipment due to the power outages caused by the storm. So we had some computer equipment damaged in our server room and some of those types of things. So we will be submitting all of that as one claim when we know the total. So just letting you know that that's in progress. So, but as far as this request for bids, I wanted to bring that back for you to make any changes to, or to review and see what your thoughts were about it before we send that out.
Are any of these more pressing than others? I mean, are we getting deterioration based on not getting it fixed, or?
Are you having to replace a computer out there?
At the lake?
Yeah. You said there's some equipment that,
That's not just at the lake though, the equipment was like in our server room here at the
Oh, okay,
courthouse.
okay.
Yeah, so it's the same storm, but
right,
it was,
it was the same event?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So no, I don't believe they had any equipment out there.
Oh, okay.
But some of the other departments did have some.
Yeah. Do we have surge? I guess they have surge protection on those?
We do, yes, we do, and we have, this building tends to get hit by lightning quite a bit.
Can imagine.
We've had several instances over the years where we've had damage to systems, and we've really tried to beef up, the protection on all of that, and we haven't had any for quite some time, but this did take out a couple of things. So I don't have the exact details of what, that with me right now, but.
Any other? I think we should direct, to continue on, seek bids and see.
I gave in the request for bids, I put that they could, bid on any or all, so they could bid on a single location or all the locations, and I did mention in here that if they do bid on everything, if there's like a package
Breakout.
price, I try to get them to, I'm not sure, I wanna make sure it makes sense when you read it through
Right.
from a contractor standpoint. but-
The only thing is if, sometimes when you require them to break out, each little item goes higher because if they only get that piece,
Right.
they need to charge more for that, but if they get all of them, then they usually give you a discount for
Right.
multiples.
And I think that's what I'm trying to get at here, is if, bid them all separate, but then also bid as if you get everything, would it be a different price
Right.
for the package?
Yeah. as long
That's what
as-
I intended it to read, so.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I didn't know on the, how long you wanna give for those to be turned back in, and how much time you want to give them to complete the work, after the notice to proceed, if you award some bids.
What was the due date for that?
I haven't said that
Oh,
yet.
okay. I don't know.
Yeah, the due date.
What's the
is-
normal?
Roofing could be a week, it could be, typically everything's 2 weeks. You give at least 2 weeks so they can get time to get out here, look at it,
Yeah,
break
I'd
it
say-
down, write it up.
I'd say at least, especially since we have so many out-of-county folks that are doing that kind of stuff, or some of them are here now.
I'd like to see somebody here get it, but
Yeah.
they gotta have the best price.
Yeah, so it's 2 weeks, yeah.
I would, for bids,
For bid submission?
After-
Kinda quick
Yeah.
now, cause they're busy right now, this whole week's gonna be rainy.
Well, I think what
But
they're
then
talking
that I can
about
actually
is
show you
when the
where-
bids need to be due. They're not talking about when the
Yeah,
work needs
no,
to be
you're
done.
gonna have to give them 60 to 90 days
to get the work done.
to get the work
Yeah.
done.
But I would say it would need to be 2 weeks after you
Post.
post it.
That's too-
That way they get a full 2 weeks to get on it.
That's pretty short too, if they're busy, I think 3 weeks would be more reasonable. I mean, give everybody a fair chance.
Yeah.
Would it be, since it's roofing, if it's all rainy and stuff, do they get up there and check roofs and stuff in the rain? And, I mean, I'm sure some of
Yeah.
them do, but,
Well, I mean, if for roofing, I mean, you can clearly see where the big problems are. I mean,
if
when it's
they're
raining.
obvious.
Yeah,
You know?
maybe make it easier.
Yeah, sometimes it tells you where your target areas are better.
I just think to be fair to everybody, 3 weeks is more reasonable.
Doesn't matter to me.
If yeah, 3 weeks is fine with me, it doesn't matter to me, I just wanted to make sure that we're not having a more substantial issue by letting it go too long.
I don't know that an extra week is gonna make a big difference.
It's fine with me.
Okay.
You all right with that, Randy?
Yes.
Okay.
I did get an update from Susan Robson about the tax sale. She is tentatively setting that for, I think, June 17th. Let me find that.
Will we be getting a list of stuff on that?
I had heard that there was 30 of them that went through.
Okay.
Okay, she set the date for June 17th for the first set of properties. However, because of needing to do the social distancing, she is, wanting to get the, auditorium at the city building for that sale, so that people can spread out enough. And there is a cost of $100 to rent that, so she's getting ready to publish that, and she wanted to make sure that that was not an issue.
I don't know. Is there any reason why, I guess I've never attended one of these, so I mean, is there any reason why it couldn't be outdoors? Or does it need to be indoors somewhere?
Depends on the weather.
That's the only thing, having rain or something like that, John.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
I
most
just-
of the time it's just been out here in a hole.
okay.
Turn outside.
Oh, I'm thinking they probably had some outside, but the couple that I've been to just.
What's wrong,
What's that, Randy?
what's wrong with the county lake hall? County lake hall could be a possible site too.
That's true.
Could just count on the rent there.
Zero rent there.
Okay.
I don't know, unless, I mean, there's an issue, I guess.
We can check on this, on the, scheduling. I
If-
don't know that they would have anything.
If there was any issue, should we just go ahead and give
It's
them
a
that?
Wednesday.
I'd say if we can use the county lake hall, if not, just proceed with
With
whatever.
the $100 on the.
Okay. Does everyone agree on that?
Yes.
If, that we'll try for the Lake Hall, but if it's not available, then we can go for this option.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And I will ask her for, a list of the properties.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did she set a time? Or is
10
that
o'clock, 10 a.m. Uh-huh.
I might show up just to watch it all go down.
Might wanna buy something.
Oh, oh, then I gotta take care of it.
Mhm. Sorry, I'm just making notes too, so I don't forget to do stuff. Okay. And then the other thing was that the East Shore, discussion on that road vacation, I think that you all had intended for that to be on the agenda today, and I did not get that on the agenda today, so that will be on the agenda next week. I did let Sharon Olmsted know about
Okay.
that, so.
Has anybody been able to go out and look at that property, or? I've been by it. I
Where's
don't-
that?
On the water tower, the East Shore.
Oh,
That
yeah,
property.
I've been by it numerous times, yeah.
Haven't been out lately.
Okay.
Another thing that probably needs to get on the agenda at some point in time is, we need to do an evaluation on Bryce Goble,
Hmm.
1 year.
On what?
Bryce Goble's 1 year evaluation.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I believe we need to do that before the renewal of the contract, right? It comes up for renewal, this
Oh,
contract?
yeah, it's annual.
Yeah.
All right, I did get my Dropbox, and, I had already kind of made plans on where to put it, but it sounded like maybe the board had some input on that. So I would like to get that installed. We could take some time a little bit later if you wanna walk around, or if you have thoughts about where it needs to go.
Your thought was out here, right?
What I was planning to do actually was, at the base of the ramp, well, right where that umbrella's going right now, the grass between the two ramps,
Okay.
I was gonna pour a slab there, place it there, and also move the treasurer's drop box beside, so that they're both in one spot. And then the treasurer's drop box would not be on the handicap parking lot area. That was my thought, but it would be a walk-up. It would be well-lit area, because we have a light right here.
Disability-wise, wouldn't that be the best?
Well, and then there was the suggestion of a drive-up, which my box is capable of a drive-up because it has the little snout. And really the only place that when we walked around and looked, the only place that seemed like a feasible place to do that would be if we changed this to where people could drive in this way instead of just having one-way traffic through this lot, and pour a slab about halfway on the grass, toward the street on the south end of this asphalt. That way they could drive in, and it would be right there, and then they could just drive out the other way. But that would kind of complicate this area over here, making two-way traffic. So,
Is there ever really congestion there with traffic that it would cause a big problem?
well, sometimes,
8 o'clock.
we also talked about this area, Jonah, right here on the concrete sidewalk, but you'd have to swing pretty far over there to be able to get to that. And a lot of times we have, when work trucks or delivery trucks come in, that's where they park. That's kind of our service area. So it may, cause a little bit of a congestion on those times, but, so I'm open to.
Treasurer's office, what kind of feedback are they getting from their box?
I think that a lot of people are using the box.
Ain't nobody's complaining about walking up through this.
No, having a walk-up box I think is fine. Their box isn't really designed with the drive-up.
Oh, yeah.
Because it doesn't have an extension where,
So would that cause confusion, and people would be putting all kinds of stuff in the one they could just drive up to?
well, the one that they can drive up to for elections, it's clearly marked for ballots, and it's small. It's got a small opening. It's not a big opening like what the
Okay.
treasurer's
Okay.
But still, the public,
Well, and if they did, you know, we would make sure it got to the
gotta
right
put big
place.
signs on them.
Yeah,
Would
So-
you even close the voting one during the year or something?
right, it has enclosure on it.
So you could lock it up?
Mhm. Yeah, we can lock it during times where we're not voting. It has a clear way to do that, and it even says closed on it.
Yeah, like this week it should be locked because everybody's bringing the taxes in, so they don't get confused.
Oh, you're talking about two different things.
No,
Well,
they'd had the voting box up
Oh,
there.
yeah.
You would lock it just so they wouldn't,
we would, now, if we were open for voting, I wouldn't lock it,
well, yeah,
but we're not.
No.
You know, advanced ballots won't be going out until July, so. But I do need to get, if we're gonna go in, you know, whatever location, I need to get the concrete poured and cured before we install that, so I need to.
I would think it would be good to have them both together, since this is working well, and people are aware of this location, you know. They're just now getting trained, so I don't have to retrain them, go to a different location.
A lot of people don't know where the box is,
Yeah.
and, but,
And then when you see it, well, I thought it was a trash can, honestly, when I first seen it. And then
Also,
it kinda looks like a trash can. So, until I seen people walk up and drop stuff in it, I thought, oh my God, that's it.
well, and I think we can do a little bit better with how we have it marked and labeled,
But when
but
the-
that was,
vote here flags up, you know, that you have out front, put one by the box.
Yeah, I think we can figure that out. We own the thing, we just need to figure out where to put it.
right.
I don't know, is anybody partial to the drive-up theory, or is a walk-up fine?
I'm satisfied with putting them together.
I guess I'm gonna leave it up to your discretion where you wanna put it then.
It's fine.
Yeah, I haven't,
Okay.
doesn't matter to me one way or the
If
other.
nobody has any strong feelings, then we'll just figure it out and get it placed, if that's okay.
Yeah, we own it, it needs to be utilized.
Okay.
So,
And that will, you know, that drop box for the elections is reimbursable. I've got a little update on the calendar for next week for elections, cause there's some things I'd like to talk to you about and kind of give you an update on this, so.
okay.
Okay,
Randy?
No,
Okay.
go ahead.
okay. All right.
Conclude our administrative business then?
Yes.
Alright. Is Isaac there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yep, gotcha. Alright.
Okay.
Last week you were talking and we couldn't take any
Yes.
action, so let's do it again.
Okay, our Bluegrass Committee, we met on, Saturday the 2nd and discussed our situation with the Bluegrass Festival. The way the governor order is now, our festival was scheduled for June 20th this year. And it seems like if everything goes perfectly, with the governor's plan, we technically would be able to have the Bluegrass Festival on the 20th, because I think the last phase ends June 15th. There's just a lot of variables that we didn't feel comfortable with, you know, not knowing if something gets extended just one time, then chances are we would have to call off the festival. So we thought it would probably be our safest bet to try to reschedule. Right now, we are looking at July 31st and August 1st, which is a Friday and Saturday. After some discussion, we talked about the possibility of potentially changing the Bluegrass Festival date for good to that date. We're gonna see how it goes this year, but our original scheduled date, that third weekend in June, is the same weekend as Washunga Days over in Council Grove, along with another Bluegrass Festival that's held in, I believe, Newton. It's smaller than ours, but it's still another event that we think could bring more people out to our event. but right now our plan is to change that to that July 31st, August 1st. We're currently contacting all the bands, trying to see if they can make that happen. I think if we can't get all of them, but we can get the majority of them, we're still going to try to push through that. You know, we might have to make it a one-day event instead of 2 this year. We're just not sure on where all the bands sit yet. But that is what we were looking at doing, and I just wanted to check with you guys to see if there were any complications that we might be overlooking, or something there might be an issue with. But I just wanted to double check with you guys.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that. I prefer nothing gets canceled, only postponed. So.
Yeah, and that's kind of our opinion on the issue as well.
I'm good with it.
I'm fine with it.
Fine.
Okay, I am too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like you got the
Okay.
green light, Isaac.
All right. Hey, that sounds good.
All right. So, anything else for Isaac?
Isaac, have any more information on the heated dock?
Yes. So I spoke with Ben just previously this week. They have since opened up his shipping for the floats, so those will be arriving. He sent me pictures. He has all the framework all put together, so that's ready to go. He had just been waiting on those floats because they wouldn't ship them because of all this COVID stuff. And so those are on the way, and as soon as he gets those, his plan is to come over here and get started on pulling this old one out and work on the new one. Yeah, he's got all the decking and everything. He was able to buy that locally in Wichita, so it seems like as soon as he gets those, things are going to be moving forward out here on the property.
Thank you.
Randy had something.
This is Randy.
Hey, Randy.
Did we cancel all of the, well, let me ask you first, how many tractors was damaged in the hailstorm, or equipment trucks that were sitting out? Just give me a rough idea of what was damaged.
So I had a K-Camp insurance agent come out. It seems like all of our roofs with shingles were totaled. He ran through that, and so it looks like all of our shingled roofs have to be replaced. Our metal roofs, which are the lake hall, the shop here, and our office, those were all damaged, just dents. He said that it doesn't look like there was any holes put in any of the roofs. My patrol truck, I got an estimate from Arley's just earlier this week. He was able to get it in, and he said it was almost total. It was $4,500, $4,600 worth of damage to the truck. And our blue New Holland tractor, that took some damage as well. We were able to have our other truck in the shop, along with a four-wheeler that we had from the weed department. I tried to park the patrol truck underneath the awning at the lake hall, but it didn't do enough work cover for it. So, but yeah, that's our main damages were our roofs, the patrol truck, and the blue New Holland tractor.
Okay, thank you. Commission, I don't know whether you remember, Diane, do you remember when we did have some buildings on there that we was gonna put up, and now it's too late now, but I just wanted to remind you that if the buildings was put up, we might have saved some of the damage for the future, so. That's all I got, Jonas.
Yeah.
It's something we need to discuss, that's for sure.
I thought somebody was getting bids. Wasn't Bryce going to get some bids on some buildings, and we told him to get with Isaac to see if we get a double package deal, if it'd be cheaper that way. That had been a month and a half, 2 months ago.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have made any difference for this event. It wouldn't have been put up in time.
Right, but we had a garage for the park and lake supervisor. We also had a building for the tractors and everything, roughly sized, but that's been to administrator, before Isaac. It's not Isaac's fault, but
Right.
it just, it slipped through the cracks, and I don't know if we still have it in the budget, whether we used it for the money for the dock, or just whether we haven't put it, most of that was insurance, so.
And Randy, I do want to say, Bryce has gotten with me on that, and I went through a bunch of old files that I had here in the office, and I actually found, I think it was Steve who was here when that discussion was in place, and I found all of his old notes and paperwork on that. Yeah, and Bryce did talk to me about it, and we had that discussion. I don't think it's gone anywhere from there. All this coronavirus stuff came around, and it's kind of been, I guess, put on the back burner. Yeah.
Fine. We do have one thing down now, that's that elm tree that's right behind the house there, so it's gone. It's still the same location. I think he was looking at the garage for you, right in that area right there somewhere.
Okay, yeah, we did get that tree cut down. I was afraid it was gonna fall on the house or
Yes.
even worse, because that was a big tree, and so yeah, that was taken down, and I think it probably ended up saving us from more damage, especially during that hailstorm, because it was pretty dead.
Right. Well, thank you, Isaac, appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, thank you guys.
Thank you, Isaac. Oh, sorry, I didn't move too fast. All right, is Randy Tollett there?
I am here.
All righty.
So,
If I can get this camera on, there we go. Well, thank you for the opportunity today to be in front of the county commission. It's always a little dangerous with direct overhead light and my hair makeup these days. So I'll try to keep the glare to a minimum. Dalkey, I see you have the same trouble, so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, this is the time of the year that comes around, when the Kansas Travel Guide is being put together. Kansas Travel Guide is put together by the Department of Parks, Wildlife, and Tourism, and it's it's basically a listing of any community events, dining, shopping, attractions. And in the past, what has occurred is that a business or an event can purchase what's called a listing advertisement in this magazine for a total of right now the early bird sale is $80. In the past, the county, using what I presume is transient guest tax money, has picked up half of that expense for all of our businesses who had an interest in being in the magazine. So that leaves the business putting together a $40 and a 150 character listing to be in the magazine. In the past, we've had Marion, Burns, Durham, Florence, Peabody, Hillsborough, Gossel, and Tampa. So there are a lot of events or attractions that people have wished to have in the magazine. They print about 350,000 of these on an annual basis. They're distributed at the tourism centers in Belle Plaine and Goodland, as well as the online presence. All of these businesses get the online presence with the purchase of this listing in the magazine as well. So Tina and I visited about a week ago. It's the time of the year when I'm soliciting the Marion subscribers. And Tina and I visited about a week ago, first of all, and thought that it would be a good idea for me to be in front of the commission. First of all, just to confirm that this was something the commission desired to do again on a go-forward basis, using some transient guest tax money. And further, Tina sent messages to, what's the process for how we gather these. So Tina had sent messages to all the other city clerks other than Marion and Hillsborough. Hillsborough does their own thing with their chamber and their own transient guest tax money. but the rest of the county is kind of, on their own. So, the reason for me being here today is just to solicit your support in, Tina and I gathering these things for the 2021 edition.
I also wanted to give you a little background, commissioners. We have been doing this travel guide for many years and using the transient guest tax monies for that. This was a function that used to be handled by the Economic Development Director for Marion County. And then in the past couple of years, I have facilitated those ads along with Randy Collins. And we have continued to do that. Now, in this time period, I know that the commission had a desire to support the local businesses, and so instead of, I was just kind of curious on whether you might want to expand the efforts of what we've been doing to where, and maybe assist with getting some of these listings in the different communities. Because I do send the information out to the city clerks, but I don't know that every business then receives it, and I don't have a way to contact every community, every business to see if they're interested or to list their community events. So I haven't, like last year, I worked that through the city clerks and we were fairly successful, but I don't know if this is a year where you might decide that you would pay for a whole ad instead of a half, or if, you know, what your thoughts are. Because we do have about $53,000 in this fund. This might be a way that you could provide some real assistance to some of these businesses that have been kind of hit hard. So I just wasn't quite sure what the board would like to do here. And that's why, you know, this is generally something that's just handled, but I felt like, you know, that the board should have a discussion maybe about this and see if there's something different we want to do, or if we're okay with doing it the way we always have, or, you know, what your thoughts might be.
So what would we be doing here? I got lost here because I thought you were going two different directions. The events that they have in the different towns, I got that. And then you also are saying promoting individual businesses basically, and I got that too. So it's two different things, right? And I just want to know so that if I go like to Tampa or Lincolnville or someplace, or even Ramona where they do an annual event, each one of those places, what would I be saying?
Well, I mean, that's what we're talking about. That's what I'm trying
Well,
to
that's
find
what I'm
out, because
asking you.
in the past, what we have done is if somebody wants to list an event
Right.
or to advertise their business,
Mhm.
we have paid for a portion of that cost out of the transient guest tax. But then the city or whatever agency's putting on the event would pay the rest. Or the business for their ad or their listing, business listing, so.
I got a thought. Randy?
Diane, to add a little clarity to that, if you were to go to the 2020 edition of this travel guide, you would see Chingawassa Days there under Marion. You would also see the Art in the Park and Craft Show again. And the descriptions then are limited to about 150 characters, but the idea would be you describe that event in some way, provide the dates and contact for somebody who was interested in getting more information. It's fairly straightforward. And again, events can be listed, dining spots, shopping spots, attractions. You know, those four things are pretty much what the limits are within the.
Okay, so it's basically both. It's basically advertising your business and highlighting the events in that town. Am I right?
Yeah, I would, if it were me, I would say advertising may be a little bit of a strong word, because it's basically just a listing of what your business is and what you do for the event and what it is. It's really not kind of an advertisement necessarily, but it's a listing for somebody who bought this magazine and said, well, I might be interested in some event in some county in a particular month. They could go through and find that either online or the magazine that's in there.
Okay.
Hey, Randy, this is Dave. What?
Yeah, Dave.
You said Hillsboro's buying an ad. What would be the feasibility of doing a 2-page spread for Marion County and listing, you know, all the festivals and events, and promote people to come to Marion County, you know, for better quality of living and a better life. Just, you know, both towns work, get a 2-page ad, you know, make a big splash and work together and show everything that's available, all the events, and then, you know, the businesses could be around the edge of it or something.
It's certainly possible to do. I don't have in hand that would be, in the language of this group, that would be a display advertisement.
Yes, what would that cost?
I think the page spread would probably run somewhere around $8,000, but that is strictly off the top of my head. I don't have those display advertising prices in hand right now.
I mean, if we wanna get more bang,
Certainly doable.
get more bang for our bucks, and we're trying to promote everybody, and that's even take care of the guy that we left out by accident,
But you're talking about Hillsborough and Marion, right?
working together.
Right, but this would, what we're talking about is not just Hillsborough and Marion, it's also all of the other
County,
counties.
yeah, but Hillsborough buying the homepage right now. They do their own thing. But if we get them to work together.
Hillsborough generally, let me have a quick look here. I think Hillsborough had 9 display listings in last year's edition. And I think Marion had 12 or 13.
Does anybody have a full page ad?
We did not have a full page
No.
ad either from
Does anybody
any
else?
of the Marion communities and or the county.
Does any other communities have a full page ad?
Yeah, typically the other communities that run the ads are Manhattan, Emporia, those places with large convention and visitor bureau organizations.
I believe in the past, Marion County has had a larger ad. It didn't have a lot on it,
Yeah.
as I recall, but it did have, I think, the lake.
When is this due? Last week?
Well, the early bird sale is May 31st.
Oh,
They want the money by, actually, they've extended payment of this thing, even though they need the layout and the listings. They've extended the money until December as part of the response to COVID-19 and stretching out the time frame for payment.
What did we expend last year?
Randy, right off the top of my head, we had, well, in Marion, we had 14 business listings. So that would have been about, at that time, $700 roughly for Marion only. I know we had listings in Tampa, Burns, Peabody, Gossel, Florence. So there were probably another 15 to 20 there. I would say the total county expenditure was probably, what, Tina, $1,500?
I don't know without looking, I'm sorry, but,
It would be close to that.
we had 1880s Main Street in downtown Peabody was in, Fanny Sterling, the Emil Capon Memorial Museum, Flint Hills Fuel Mart in Florence, Flint Hills Market and Bakery, Burns Hardware Company, Harvey House Museum, Keith's Foods, Main Street Boutique, the Park and Lake was in, the Reservoir was in. We had Mennonite Heritage and Agricultural Museum, the Morgan House, Peabody City Park, the Historical Museum, Prairie Oak Design, Santa Fe Trail Cafe, and the Town and Country Cafe. And I don't have a grand total on all of this, but those were the ones that actually had their listing in last year that were not in the city of Marion. But I would say probably, I mean, if we're paying those at between $40 and $50 a month, you know. I think that the amount that Randy said is pretty close. The county paid $770 for Marion businesses, for those portions of Marion businesses, but I didn't get a total on this other, so.
Guess where my mindset goes is to continue doing what we've done in the past for the businesses, but maybe step it up a notch for the events to promote Marion County.
I think we need to, I mean, we're so limited on what we can do with those funds, why don't we use them?
Yeah, this is a way that you can utilize the funds for this.
Yeah, so why don't we just expand it to whatever it needs to be?
And Diane, to your point earlier, you know, the Ramona Redneck Festival and the Weaverville Fall Festival,
Mhm.
they should both be part of this as well.
Well, that's what my mind was thinking as well. So that's why I asked the question, and I didn't know if it was just to promote a few businesses in those areas, which I don't know if there's any, but, or how we would go about doing that. But, yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
The difficulty for me personally, and probably Tina as well, is you have to find that person that's associated with either the Redneck Festival or the Fall Festival, and you have to find them and get to the organizing committee to see what they want to do.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's a little difficult.
Now, in the past, those communities have come to the commission for a donation, and we have donated to those events.
We did
Right.
last year, that was the first time.
Right,
last
but
year.
and you could still do that, but this, is a way for them to actually get their event listed in a publication that a lot of people look at, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not saying that you would replace what you did for the communities with their events, you know, you could certainly
This
do
is
that
an
again
addition to.
this year, but this could be an addition.
So is there a dollar amount that we can look at by expanding it some? Or is it just?
The listing, Kent, is, this year it's, $80 until the
Right.
31st of May.
Right.
And, you know, the county's been paying 40 and the business has been paying the other 40, the other half. In this instance, you'd have, I don't know, pick a number for it, I'd probably be the event down in Gossel, the event in Ramona, the event in Lincolnville. I think Peabody's is already there. Florence Labor Day, you know, there'd be a handful, 6 to 10 maybe, of additional things that, you know, if there were 10 extra events that the county wanted to fund 100%, then it'd be what, $800.
I guess that's where my mind is going. Keep the businesses as is. Let's spot all the events. That's where I'm leaning.
Where I was at, I'm just trying to get people to come to Marion County more than once. Is you list all these events and all these places, they'll keep looking at this ad, and come back once a month instead of this once a year to promote, and it gets the whole county working together instead of against each other. Because we gotta, you know, to survive, we're gonna have to work as one instead of as 2 or 3. Right now, we got 2 or 3 different entities working, doing their own thing. That's my personal belief.
Well, we've got this pool of money, and we can only use it for tourism.
Yeah.
So why don't we just fund 3/4 of it, and the other entities can
Get a
fund a quarter of
a
it.
professional ad in this magazine, you know, like
Mr. Chairman?
like
Yeah.
Employee Hutchison does.
Yes, Randy?
I'd make a motion to, we put a maximum at $4,500 expenditure for this and see how Randy Collick can handle that.
Thanks, Randy.
Okay, so how does that break down? When I go to the different places up in my district, how do I tell them what they can spend or whatever? I need to have a little bit more clarity there.
Well, you know,
Well,
we'll have to
Randy
get it
needs
from
to
Randy.
go find out what the ads cost.
$80.
I mean, if we.
Well, I think he said $80, am I right, Randy, $80?
If we did a full page
Yeah, right,
ad.
until the 31st of May. I'll send you a couple of the listing pages so that you have an example.
Okay.
I'll try to get the one from Tampa and the Santa Fe Trail restaurant.
Okay,
And get those in your hands so that you can actually see them.
that'd be great, okay. Okay.
I'm leaning a little different.
Next off, table to next week after we get more
What's your
information.
thought?
Like I said, I'd like to spot all the events.
Okay, but what kind of dollar amount are we looking at?
Well, you have to put a cap on it, but, maybe we ought to table it, maybe.
And figure out what that would be.
You still do have a motion on the floor that you'll have to deal with, but I do wanna make a suggestion. I think that you should put it at a certain percentage per listing or per business. Because I think that if you put a total maximum dollar amount on it, you could get a big portion of that dollar amount from one community, and then you have other communities
Yeah.
that don't have the same level of, you know, right.
That's what I
mean,
said, if we're trying to help these businesses and events, and we've got this money, we can only use it for, that's why I brought up 75% of it, they can pay a quarter.
How long does it take to build that? I mean, what on annual, what does that account grow?
About
Well,
15,000.
we had in this,
53,000.
I'm trying to see what dates this is. Through, you know, from January through May of this year, it's just under 6,000.
I was thinking 15,000.
But see, this is funded by, you know, bed tax.
Bed taxes?
Yeah, so
And
that's gonna
so-
go down.
Right, but we do have
And I do need to remind everyone that it's bed taxes outside of Hillsborough.
right,
Mhm. They keep their own.
yes. So that's one reason we would not utilize these, we could not utilize these funds for Hillsborough, because they have their own
Right.
transient guest tax, and they need to be,
They do their
they
own
have to
thing.
use it for their own.
But
Right.
what
Yeah.
your thoughts were was valid, Dave, because
Yeah, it doesn't mean-
once Randy has the funds, he can always go get with Anthony and they could collaborate effort
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
funding.
They could dovetail it.
Yeah, there's no reason you couldn't still develop a,
One ad. yeah.
right,
Yeah, that's
Two
totally up
chairs.
to the two of them to make that happen.
Donna, you just expanded my area of responsibility.
Well, you got that lighting effect, you know, there's a halo going on above your head.
You needed something
Yeah, I
to do.
know.
So I think the motion on the table, nobody seconds it, it'll die of a lack of a second. And I don't know, I'm kind of in favor of tabling it for at least a week, just to,
Yeah, well,
Get-
we're
Well, He needs to
Get
know, he
wrapped
needs
around.
to know pretty quick.
yeah,
and I think you do need to call for a second.
okay. Is there a second? No second, it dies.
How about I make another motion? then? I'll make a motion, we pay 75% of the cost of the listings.
And with Randy working on
But
moving the county ad.
Right.
we gotta set a limit on it somewhere though. Can't just, it could come up
Well,
with $60,000.
You're gonna have to come up with what Tina was talking about, though, if you put just a dollar amount on it.
Right, but there does have to be a cap, because you could potentially, I'm not saying we would, I'm saying you could potentially spend more than we have in the account. Yeah, I don't see that, but-
Okay,
I-
my motion might die also. I'm just looking at, we've got this pot of money and we need to help the businesses in there.
Yeah, I guess I would second that, just to get something going, get people's attention.
Well, I was hoping that we would have tabled it so we can get more information and a little bit more clarification on exactly what can we do.
We have a
I
motion
mean,
and
we
a
could-
second, is there any other discussion?
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm right now, again, now we're tying our hands and we don't know if we need to do that or not. So I really would like to have had more information so that we could know how much we could do for the businesses, rather than just shoot from our hip. But that's just my thought.
Well, it depends on, if the business wants to put in $100, we're gonna put in $300.
It depends on a lot of stuff.
Okay.
That's true, we don't know yet.
So
I mean,
it's
this
up
is-
to the business.
Okay, a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion?
What kind of, cap we're gonna put on it? I mean, I think you gotta have some sort of lid.
And I agree with you, Randy, but I'm just asking, we don't even know what the amount is out there, so we know what to cap it for. You know, we have no clue. And if I'm gonna present something to our businesses and say we're gonna have to pay 75%, maybe we could afford to pay it all. Maybe we could afford to pay only 50%. I mean, we don't know that yet.
The listings themselves, we know the cost of those, and that's what you would potentially present to your businesses and to.
$80.
Right.
Okay.
As long as we have them in by May, as long as we have commitment and we have the information in by May 31st, then it goes up a little bit. I think that doing an ad would be a separate thing. I mean, because we automatically are gonna have a cap on the listings based on the number of businesses and events that we have in the county. And if we know in the, you know, what we have spent in the past, which I can send you out a more detailed information about over the years what we have spent, you know, that kind of automatically, based on the number of events and businesses that we have, it kind of puts its own cap on. But if you wanted to do an ad, you know, we could provide information on the cost of that, and that could be handled separately if you wanted to do a big display ad. But on the listings themselves, we know the cost of those.
And I guess my question was, okay, the $80. So if we know potentially, because, you know, depending on how enticing we make this, you may have more businesses jump on to get their name in.
Mhm.
So if it's $80, and if we say we're gonna pay 70 of the 80, that might entice some people to jump on that didn't before.
Right.
But we know, we could, what I was gonna do myself is try to figure out how many businesses we have throughout our area, our working area, the county, so that potentially, if every one of them jumped on the bandwagon, this is how much we would be spending. And then I would know how much that would cost if we offered that percentage or otherwise.
I would take it a step further. I'd like to see the mock-up of all the potential events,
Mhm.
all the businesses, and if we spotted it 100%, that would be worst case scenario.
Right,
Then we could deduce from that number.
I agree. At least we would know what we're dealing and do the best we can for the people. We would at least know. Be my thought.
Okay, I'll withdraw my motion, but let's get it done next week. We don't need to spend a lot of time on this.
Well, I think this is important.
I think I would be in favor of tabling it till next week. I would like to direct, if I could, or ask Randy, not direct, because that maybe you could do a mock-up for us so we can know what worst case scenario, say if we picked up the bill of everything, what that number would be.
And I can work with Randy and our department to get you
And I would,
some thoughts.
It's not difficult to put together for Marion and Hillsborough. The difficulty comes in adding all the other smaller communities and, you know, because I don't have a good understanding of all of them.
Right.
So it's doable.
okay.
Randy? Randy, call it.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is a travel guide, correct?
Correct.
So, are we pushing, I mean, like some businesses that don't ever do things in advertising, yet they're old businesses in their communities.
I'll pardon my interruption, but.
That's all right, go ahead.
But the listings for this guide are to be an event like we've been talking about, a dining, an eatery, a shopping entity. So if, I think Sterling 1884 is in it down in Peabody, it's a shopping attraction, or if it's an attraction, if it's like the museum in Hillsborough, or the museum in Gossel, or the museum here in Barron, or other attractions. So it kind of fits under those four categories. Beyond that, it's, the Kansas tourism folks would not want me to put a convenience market, a gas station is a thing, let's put it that way.
What about a grain bin industry or something to that effect?
No, this is more tourism.
That's what I'm trying to narrow it down to, that's gonna cut some of the ideas of going so high off of the listings.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You would not put Webster Auto in there, even though tourists might need it sometime.
That's terrible.
The convenience store would be, it's nice to know that you can stop and get gas. But
I know.
yeah,
Yeah.
anyway, that's where I'm at with it. If Randy could help us out
Okay.
on a worst case scenario, if we spotted the bill, that gives us a total dollar amount, and if we have to reduce that down, we'll reduce it down.
You'll get the bill.
Okay, with that,
Thank you all.
thank you, Randy.
Can I ask Randy Collett one other question? Are you still there, Randy? He's gone.
I am.
Oh, you're still there? Okay, I don't see your face.
Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to ask you a
No.
question. Are you there?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I was just gonna ask you, could you give me just a little bit of an update on the Bow Run building? I was just wondering, I know when we transferred that over, and I can't remember, Randy Dalkey might be able to help me here a little bit. I thought there was some projected businesses or projected updates or something to the building. And every time I drive to Marion, I always love that building. And
Yeah.
I thought there was also a time frame on some of those updates, repairs, shops, whatever, and I know the COVID probably didn't help any. So can you just tell me where we're at that building as far as the city of Marion is concerned?
Yeah, the Marion Advancement Campaign has the building. As you know, we've got a renter on the first floor right now. Everything's a little bit on hold. We were hoping they'd be up on the hill already. But on the second floor, we recently just hired some local, well, they were basically high school students who were needing some work. So all of the plaster and lath and the second floor of the building is all cleaned up as of last week. And so we'll begin the effort for, I've talked to a couple of different people about purchasing the building outright for their own interest, their own business. But we don't have anything done there yet with the month-to-month lease that we have with the Expedition Wind folks. So good question, Diane. I wish we were farther along than we are, but we're going to get there.
Thank you.
Okay. So, Randy Perdue, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Very good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You go ahead and proceed with an update on transfer station.
Yes, absolutely. So, figured it'd been a little while since I had addressed the council, and I guess as far as construction goes, everything is going good and on track as far as I'm aware. I believe, will be pouring walls this week sometime. I think Wednesday was the plan, but don't know for sure if they're still planning on doing that or not. Guess I put together a letter to help you follow through since last time, things were a little confusing. Hope this helps walk down through this. So, on change order 3 is really what I'm hoping to get finalized. Change order 3 was the removal of the contaminated soils. Nelson Fowles had estimated their fee at $37,000. We got a site change, thanks to your guys' work, which helped reduce that estimated fee. At this point, that soil has all been removed and is on the new site, and per the directions of KDHE, the contractor's fee for that work was $26,138.75. And then we attached an invoice also. Because your site worked out so well, it took very little changes to the permit. KDHE with the shutdown had more free time than I'm used to them having. Their process went really quick and easy. A lot of our is invoicing from Pace Analytical for the testing, both for the new soil, and part of that invoicing is for closing the land farm from phase 1, and then Call Valley sends out a tester. It's run to Salina, picked up the sample containers, ran on site, gathered the material, and took it back. So most of that is for Paces and the one guy who run and did the legwork. So we're asking that you review and sign change order 3, which is your contract with Nelson Fowles. And that will be invoiced around May 15th is usually when Nelson Fowles puts together, or middle of the month. And then our invoice for Pace, and I've attached their invoices. Then there's a couple other items, but is there any questions on any of that at this point?
No, I'm gonna just go ahead and make a motion to approve change order number 3 at $28,563.
I had a question. Kent Becker, Randy. This contamination, was kind of total unexpected from our part, being I guess there wasn't any core drillings to determine that was there. Going forward, how much more contaminated soil are we looking at out there?
Okay, so there was core drillings done. Call Valley has a geotechnical department. I caught part of the last meeting on that in reviewing. So there's a geotechnical report that's your guys's. It's been supplied to you guys. I can get you updated on it. I would have to review it. It was prior to me taking on this project, but I believe 4 or 5 borings building. And to answer one of the main questions that was brought up on that was that, boring, the equipment can't be taken inside of a building. The mass on it sticks up too high. So boring inside the building just isn't practical to any depth. But one of the boring locations around the building did show fuel odor, I believe was what they stated, but the other 4 did not. We didn't expect to find the volume of soil that we found. But I believe at this point we are done removing soil from that site. So I don't believe there will be any further removal fees.
There isn't any excavation in the second phase? There isn't any further excavation?
No, for phase two, we actually have to put material back in because the second phase of this, we aren't really removing material. We are actually filling in because there's a basement area underneath what's there.
Well, I just, from our financing point of view, we can't afford any more of these type of things to happen, or we'll have to start cutting back on a project.
Well, there is something, I mean, the soil's been removed, so something's going to have to fill it back up. So there will be some more
Yes.
fees. I mean, without a doubt, you're gonna have to bring something in, screenings or something,
Yeah.
to fill the void.
Yeah, I'm just.
And I addressed that on this letter, but I believe the volume that's hauled out is all that's gonna be hauled out. I don't believe we'll have any more fees on that, but yes, there will be an additional change order that's gonna be sizable for the hauling material back in. I actually was going to, I've been looking into this and was going to look into some local options. Our contractor's given us a price for hauling material back in. It's exactly what was on their bid tab item. So as far as they're concerned, it's a very favorable price. But I was gonna do some checking because we are talking a large volume of material and see if there's another source just to see if we could get a better price for the material coming back in.
My concern is going forward. We have a lease purchase, we have X number of dollars to spend, and we get to the end and we're short, we can't go to the bank.
I understand.
So I have a motion on the.
I'm sorry, can you, when you make your motion, can you do it just for the amount of the actual change order to the contractor and do a
Okay.
separate motion for the,
Okay, yeah, I
would that
was
be
just
okay?
going to approve the funds in total, but that's fine. I will restructure my motion to be in the amount of $26,138.75 to Nelson Fowles for change order number 3.
I'll second that.
Second.
Motion, second by Diane. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And then,
Aye.
unanimous, the amount for, Cobb Valley Engineering is, yep, same number. Is, their increase to deal with change order number 3 is in the amount of $2,424.25.
so you're making.
Making the motion to approve the $2,424.25 to Cobb Valley Engineering for the landform and the work that has already been done.
Second.
A second by Diane. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed?
Aye.
4-1.
Okay, and then here's this change order to sign. Thanks for doing it separate, that keeps my records a little cleaner on the tracking
Okay.
of projects.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir, Randy.
How about, and was Randy Purdue here, do we need to look for some availability for spots to bring soil in, or would you have to test that soil, or what's all involved from here on for the next step when you get to step 3, phase 3?
So the contractor is suggesting screenings, and that's a suitable material, and we'll pull a sample from it, but I think we've already got a sample because that's what they were suggesting all along. If we started looking for another avenue, yes, we would have to verify that the material is suitable for that.
But you was gonna use the dirt we hauled off, correct?
We were, yeah. Yeah, I mean, most likely, in Kansas, we rarely come around bad soils, but we still would wanna go grab a bucket and verify that it's suitable backfill, so that but we rarely come across soils in Kansas.
Randy, Randy, is there any possibility we could see a deduct by using screenings in order to achieve compaction?
I think that's what their plan was all along. You mean that they're
Since they're not going back with soil and having to run a compaction, because you know you got to do that in lifts. But if they do it in screedings, they won't have to compact it quite as severe.
they still have to go back in lifts, and they still have to put in some sort of an effort. I'm not going to argue that screenings makes things easier because it's a very consistent material, but I don't believe that there's any justification in.
Okay, I'm just trying to
Reduction. Yep.
trying to
Absolutely.
think on how to make this finance swing. So
I agree, and that's where I think we need to find another option, even if it's, and I was gonna call one of the local quarries and see, just to see if they could give us a better fee, for hauling in and placing it. You know, the city said we could stockpile on their property. That's what they would've had to have done with the material they hauled out anyway. So, you know, if we could get it approved to haul in and leave it so they could carry on with their standard business and then backfill from there. That's one option. I mean, if we get it cheaper than they're offering it to us, that would be the one way I see to cheapen this up some.
okay.
If you look on page 2 of my letter, so part of that pace testing was the land farm closure, and one of the documents in there is KDHE that said that we are good to use that soil that we hauled out from phase 1 for whatever we want to use it for. So that's good.
That's the material at the south shop, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Just, I thought it was a rhetorical question. I just thought I'd clarify it for anybody else.
Okay, I got you. Yep.
All right. Anything else?
Barring any questions, I believe that's all. I mean, I tried to put this together so that you could walk down through this letter and then get your answers easily, and then attach certain attachments that I felt would help you clarify some questions. So.
Anything else, Ken?
I don't have no more. Thank you, Randy, for being here.
Yep, thanks, Randy.
Yep, not a problem. You guys.
All right, okay, moving on to Josh.
Yes, sir.
All righty. You're gonna go ahead and give us an update on your management plan? I think we've all got it. We've all got it in our packet.
Yeah, it's just an annual management plan we send in every year, along with, just to the state. So, basically all I need is just everyone to sign it so I can turn it into them and I'm not late on it. I know Bud's always done that in the past and he's always done it pretty early, but with everything going on, I kind of fell behind and didn't realize this needed to be done, so.
Has everybody had a chance to review it? Everybody taking a look at it? Anything, any questions, concerns? All right, if not, I'll make a motion to approve the 2020 annual noxious weed management plan.
I'll second it.
Got a second by Dave.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 5-0. Alrighty, Josh.
Okay. Other than that, I think that's all I needed.
Okay, very good.
Anything else from you guys?
Hey, Josh, this is Dave. I've got one question.
Okay.
Your increase in business, has it picked up quite a bit from all the shingles? Are you hauling more loads per week?
For the transfer station?
Yes.
Yes, we've been picking up, with everybody being off and cleaning, and then the hailstorms, we've got quite a bit of roofing companies that are coming in, so we have noticed a increase.
Josh, I don't think that this, but I was in there, I took some shingles in there, and those guys do a tremendous job in there. But it is a topic that's come up, and I'm wondering if we need to discuss a floor charge. Just because when I was in there, yeah, they assisted me, but they also assisted some other people with a single box or 2 bags.
There is a sign that says that.
Right, that they could have thrown in the dumpster and not held up the trash trucks from getting in there. So I'm just wondering if that's something we ought to, when we go to talking about recycling fees, when we go to talking about our solid waste fees, this is another object that maybe we ought to be discussing in that group of topics.
Yeah, we do have a sign, a $5 pull-off fee, but most of the time, my guys, they just jump in, help just to get them in and get them out as quick as they can.
Right.
They don't go in, make them pay it, So it's just, and I don't, when I was in there, I did it just to help people get in and get out quicker. But if we need to start enforcing that, I can have them start enforcing it.
They have to carry cash when they did that.
Yeah, no, I don't know how big of an issue it is. I'm very grateful for what you guys did when I came in there.
But Josh, aren't we getting paid for the shingles? That's
Yeah.
C&D.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I paid for that, but it's just,
What is our rate?
Our rate is $40 a ton is what we charge for C&D.
I know we've set on 40 for quite a while, and we haven't made no adjustments. I'd like to, if you can possibly call around some surrounding counties and see what their C&D rates are and give it to us.
Okay, yeah, I can.
I'd definitely be in favor of that, Randy.
Yeah. Something we need to look at.
And then also, I'm not really yet, but I think there's going to be some changes with the new style of building when it's done. That I don't want to see 3 people sitting around. The building's designed for 1, and that's where we need to get to when we get there. If they can't put it in the side doors and when it's all done, then there needs to be a floor fee put on when they come onto the floor with a trailer or something like that, and help finance the situation and help finance our fund going forward.
Yeah, he's talking about the building and the layout. If they can't kick it off onto the floor.
Yeah, I have no idea what we're doing, to be honest with you.
Well, there's a couple spots where outside people can pull up from what I've seen in the drawings and throw off on their own.
Right.
And it
Doors.
keeps the other area open for
Right.
more of a commercial, industrial atmosphere.
Right. That's what it's designed for.
So, I'm in favor, Randy. So,
Okay,
Randy, just to
we'll just see how good
clarify,
ours works.
Randy, can I clarify with you on this annual noxious weed management plan? I can use your stamp on that.
Yes.
okay. Well, Josh, if you have anything else, If not,
No, that's,
okay. Well, thank you, Josh.
no, thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Moving on to Bryce.
I'm here.
Alrighty. Transport fuel bids. All laid, passed out this morning in front of everybody.
MFA was low for transport.
Alright.
That's recommended approval.
I'm going to take Bryce's recommendation and make a motion to approve MFA in the amount of $8,625.40.
Second.
Got a second by Kent. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Unanimous. 5-0.
I have, 3 salary sheets that were sent up there.
Alrighty. Got a salary change for Road and Bridge Gravel, Fred Philpott. $25.11 per month to $25.34 per month. 6-month raise as an equipment operator. I would like to say something about Fred though. I got some reviews from his people and they said he's definitely improving day by day, totally, really just doing a good job.
Was he not doing a good job before?
He's
I think
semi-new.
if you're gonna talk too much about performance,
Oh, okay.
you just be careful in
Yeah.
open session.
All right.
I mean, if you wanna have that discussion, go into executive session here pretty quick and you can talk through that.
Here's Alan.
I didn't know where he was going with it. I
Nope,
had never heard
just-
anything.
No, he's a good guy. Salary change for Road and Bridge Blacktop, Glenn George, from $25.11 per month to $25.34. 6-month raise as equipment operator number 2. I have a salary change for Ronald Wards, Road and Bridge Gravel, from $0 to $22.67 per month. New hire is equipment operator number 1. Future reviews in 6 months and a year. So, Randy, you authorized Tina to use your stamp?
Yes.
Okay.
So we've had several new hires on road grade equipment operators. Have we had turnover, or are we just increasing, or what? I noticed over the course of the last couple of weeks, we've had some new hires. And I was just wondering, Bryce, is it for just adding employees, or do we have a turnover there?
The last couple have been, a temporary part-time, other than what we have, filled from the winter time of retirements and stuff like that, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Well, is there anything else for Bryce?
I have some questions for Bryce.
Yeah, I have 3 utility permits there for you. 2 of them aren't really that big a deal, they're off on right away, they're just letting us know. Third one involves the work right in the middle of 300th Avenue, or 300th Road, west of Chisholm. I've got some paperwork on there, I met with all the parties involved. Since 300th is a main access east and west for just rock in that area for those 4 individuals or property owners in that area. We talked about making sure that they have a all-purpose road at all times, or the contract, we did agree to, if it does stay dry, that they are allowed to use, to go up Bison Road from 290 to 300. It's a very, very good dirt road. But I told them at all cost, if there's rain projected or see rain coming, they have to provide some sort of access on 300 that will be rock or whatever else. The problem with that is they're digging right in the middle of the roadway. So we have to work around both the pipelines excavation as well as the safety of the people getting through there. I was very confident in everybody that was there and what we talked about. So that's the only thing that's really going to be an issue, or could be an issue, excuse me, with that pipeline repair there. They're hoping just maybe a day or two to take to go down and fix what needs to be fixed. But Murphy's Law says if you don't, there'll be more. But the real estate agent that deals with permits and stuff like that, she did meet with all four, or met with three and left a message for the fourth one to call her back, just so that everybody had that information. So I just need approval for those 3 permits.
Okay.
This is a pipeline company gonna just take our road apart, is that what's happening?
Yeah, they have some fittings and stuff like that, just happen to be in the middle of the road on 300. This is Enterprise Pipelines. They're just doing repairs all across the nation, they're just moving this way.
Enterprise Products.
Is this the big pipeline or not? No, it's not over there, is it? No.
No, it's but it just goes all the way across our area. Like I said, they're going clear up from 360th down to 350th. It just will happen at 300 here too. So, but
Dude, Bryce, discount, do they do all the repairs on the road then, or do we have to come out and fix it up?
nope, they will be 100% liable and responsible for all that, and that's what I need to follow up with them. The biggest problem they're gonna have is, depending on how deep they need to go, whether they have to use a trench box or whatever else for their safety, as well as the traveling public around there too. But I'm all over that.
Okay.
Alright, so the first permit is 2020-06 for Enterprise Products. Work on the south side of 360th, 0.26 miles west of Timber Road. For the purpose of a repair of pipeline, which is 18 feet south of the road. It's just in the right of way. I will
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Kent, seconded by Dave. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Unanimous, pass.
Zero.
Alright, next permit is 2020-07. Repair of a pipeline, on the road right of way, 300th Road in Marion, County, Kansas. It will actually fall in the center of the road. This is the last one he was talking about.
I'll make the motion to approve it.
Okay, motion by Dave,
Second.
second by Randy. Let's watch it. His lips move fast. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
5-0. Alrighty, and the last one is 2020-08. It is for repair of a pipeline, which will fall approximately 35 feet north of the road right away on 350th Road in Marion County, Kansas.
So moved.
Motion by Kent, second by Dave. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 5-0. Okay, Bryce, you got anything else?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Tina should have a copy there of an agreement between KDOT and Marion County as part of the road reconstruction up there on Highway 5677 north of Lincolnville. they're requiring to use, Vista Road from 320th down to Lincolnville and Xavier Road, east of the highway from 320th down to 310th. When they close off these roads, to do the pavement removal, the locals that live out on 310th and 320th will not have an all-purpose road, to get back to a paved road or another rock road. So KDOT has agreed to furnish this material to put on the roads, so we can make an all-purpose road while they're working on the roadway in that area. So I had quite a lengthy agreement with all them, because they originally weren't going to offer us anything to do that. It was kind of on our own, and I obviously convinced them otherwise. But just to show you what was going on, they're going to pay us $20 a ton to put down the material. We're estimating about 500 tons of rock to go in those roads. We've actually went in and rebuilt Vista Road so far with the dirt work. We're going to put down some base rock. So we're hoping that when we get done, we have a very good road, at least for the temporary situation. But we also have a foundation if we ever want to make the road a lot better shape than what it was before. So, but anyway, it's just a contract with KDOT, so we can get started with that. So, just for your information.
Bryce, do we have to invoice them for that, or are they just paying that up front?
Yes, we do. Yep. We will turn the tickets into them, and then they'll reimburse us. So, Tina also had she gave the information for the lease purchase on the dozer. There was also the information for the actual purchase stuff in the packet that I gave to Tina this morning. So I don't know if you want to have chairman approve that, or how you want to do that, Tina, or is that something we can do later?
Well,
that paperwork is there.
Well, on that paperwork, the one is a delivery acceptance, and it's talking about the condition of the equipment, and so I think that would be whoever received the equipment needs to sign that.
Okay.
As far as same thing on this customer delivery checklist.
Okay. Well, if the commission's okay with that, then I don't have a problem doing that.
Well, I think we need to take action on this agreement, though. The agreement between KDOT and Marion County, project number 5657 KA-5263-01, an unofficial detour route, and it is compensate Marion County at the rate of $20 a ton for a maximum of 1,500 tons and not to exceed $30,000. I would make a motion to approve this agreement.
Second.
Second by Kent. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 5-0.
Yeah, I think that, go ahead and just sign here also.
Okay.
Bryce signed the agreement, but we do need to have board action on it, so.
All right, and then back to the Foley.
Okay.
There was nothing.
Well, it was just back to the Foley paperwork. There is the customer delivery checklist, which I think Bryce could sign both of those. EPP terms and conditions. I believe that's for electronic. Let's see, it's an authorized trade obligation. It's like to be able to connect with the equipment electronically, is that right, Bryce?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, and,
So all the documents Bryce can handle.
yeah, I think that was fine. This one's
Okay.
consent to collect, share, and use data. I think either Bryce or I could sign that,
Figure we're
and then,
already at the point where we're paying for it. So
Right.
that's what our role is.
yeah, I think these are I don't think the commission has to sign these.
Okay.
Okay. I submitted our, cost share for Nighthawk Road as well as 330th last week. I was very impressed. We got 16, I believe it was 16 letters of support, both from public, private, schools, EMS, stuff like that. So I think that will go a long way to help our chances of getting some money for this next year. I believe they left $10 million in the kitty, so we will know hopefully by, I think the deadline was May 18th, which would be a week from today. But I want to get it in ahead of time. We are still taking other letters or whatever else that may come and can still submit. But anyway, I think that will do us well. We met with the Gossel folks last week with the project going through town. Kind of got a preliminary idea what they're looking at. We still don't have a formal plan, but one of the things they were looking at was maybe one thing that could help was we could even furnish some pipes for them and stuff to that effect. But again, until we get a little more formal plan from their consultant that they're using over there as to what we'd be involved with, but we won't really know for sure until we get to that point. But I believe that we could help them out based on what the commission decides to do. But just want to tell you that we did meet over there. So also want to get an update on the Department of Ag permits and stuff, removal of pipes on 310th as well as 300th. We have removed the west pipe on 310th, and we found out that there are some access issues up there. What the deal was is there was a little bit of, I guess, miscommunication from everybody that the access issue on 310th at the top of the hill is not actually for the local landowner there. It's actually for the one right next to him that uses this property to access the Unruh Farms, which is actually on the west side of there. They use this access to get to the fields that are west and south of the Cottonwood River and that quarter section. And so we have since stopped removing the east pipe on 310th, and pending what we come up with a resolution with Mr. Unruh, Sharon and I and him have all talked. We're waiting to hear back from Brad on some of his thoughts. One of the things we could do is we could provide access off of 300th going north through the west side of his property and make an access, whether that would be a right of access, permitted, whatever the legal term would be, that we could do that. We could also make a little better access going down his driveway, going through his farmstead to get to the other part of it. But I think he would actually prefer to keep the access over farther to the west side of his property. He very, very nice gentleman to work with. He's willing to work with us in any way so that we could eliminate that. We have kept the Department of Ag updated as to what's going on there, and they were okay with that. Obviously, once that issue of access gets straightened out, then we can proceed farther with the closing or vacating the road, whatever the case may be. We will probably not do anything with that until the crops are removed from there, because most of them look like wheat. So we've notified Department of Ag, and they are okay with us holding off on that for now. Both pipes have been removed off of 300th. They're sitting out there next to Diamond. We're trying to figure out how to get them hauled off, or whatever the case may be. Being 71 feet long, they require a special trailer to get them out of there. So, but again, those have been removed, and depending on what the weather does, we need to get back in there and get all the best management practice for erosion control and stuff like that put in. So, but anyway, everything's on the up and up, and it's just a matter of keeping Department of Ag updated if anything changes. So once we get back with Brad on that information, then we'll be able to proceed farther with that. So
I did get a message.
The last thing, what's that?
I was just gonna say, I did get a message that Bryce was on the call.
Right.
So I don't know if we're able to
Right.
hear him. But yeah, that Brad is on, sorry. So do you wanna see if he?
Yeah.
I had a question to Bryce.
Yeah.
Bryce? Still on?
Yeah.
Are we gonna continue to maintain that on 300, that from the bridge, where the bridge was taken out going east? Is there gonna be any maintenance on that road? So, cause there's a lot of field entrances there.
Yes. We only have to close about 1,000 foot there in the middle. We have several accesses coming in from the east side that we will have to maintain.
Right.
Field entrance, stuff like that. On the west side, there's really nothing that needs access off of 300. They have access off of Diamond.
Right.
The main portion, we obviously knew there were several accesses on the east side that we have to maintain, so therefore, we won't be able to shut them off and we'll have to maintain access.
Bryce?
Yeah.
I'm going back to Lincolnville area there on Vista up there. Right across from Greg Hollop's house there I don't know whether we put it in recently or not, a culvert entrance.
Yes.
Okay, south of that, where your new rock is, right straight in front of his house, I see a fiber optic, probably some sort of box, junction box or something, but it's set right square in our flow line.
Okay.
My question to you is when we sign these road permits and everything, I think we need to get with Brad and get it in those road permits somehow that I don't believe that if anybody saw that, they would have allowed that box there, because it's about 2.5 foot wide by 3 foot long, or so, something to that, and right in our flow line of a ditch, and that just, the culvert's there, and then about 20 foot later, here's this box right in the flow line, and somehow we need to eliminate that or get the responsibility that if they install that at any time like that, we, the county, can ask them to remove it or bury it or do something with it.
Sure. I'm guessing it's probably a pull box for a fiber optic line. I don't know for sure, but yeah, that's always an issue, and that's one of the things we deal with when we call locates, because where they put those compared to where the line is can be different also. But yeah, putting it in the bottom of the ditch is not conducive for anybody, because then they can get water in their pull box and stuff too. But yeah, that's definitely stuff we need to look at. I do agree with that.
Well, I just wanted, I'm saying that if somebody got busy and signed off on it, said, yeah, it's good, you've been doing good work and not drive the job, we don't have nobody inspect the jobs.
Right.
I think we need to get the liability somehow in that paper, that if we missed it or whatever, that we can ask for them at some time to remove it or move it out of the flow line of the ditch.
Sure. Yeah, and I do know part of the, I guess, some of the issue is the fact is that a lot of time, with fiber companies, not so much, but other people, they actually contract out this work, and therefore the communication isn't as good with them too. But no, it's something that needs to be done all the way around between the owner and us, to make sure that we get the best thing for everybody.
Yeah, and maybe we can address Brad with it and see what we can do with it. I don't know the wording of it and haven't read it lately, but something needs to be done so we don't have to dig a ditch around this thing.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Randy, Sharon would like to know what the location is, so if you could let her know later.
Of that box?
Yeah.
Okay, it's right straight in the road, right across from Greg Hollop's house on Vista. What is it, between 320 and 310? What is that price?
Between 300 and 310.
Between 300 and 310, yeah. West side.
Okay.
Yes.
And I'll let her know later.
Okay.
I'll check with her.
Yep. All right.
Okay, did you want to talk to Brad then, or is he still on?
I think it would probably be good to test and see
Well,
if
yeah.
we can actually make a comment or not.
Randy, did you have something to say?
No, I'm just saying we can take that to him and see what he thinks about it.
Okay. Is
About our contract, about our permit.
is Brad on?
Brad, are you on the call still?
Can you hear me at this point?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, good. I had to do a bunch of things here for some reason to unmute that. Yeah, on we can do a standard form indemnification in that language so that it appears with any road permit. I've done that before because, as Bryce said, you'll have subcontractors in a lot of these instances who come in and they're a smaller job they're just told to set these things, and they kind of lose the understanding of exactly where and what they should do. They just lay it in line.
Well, and I'm concerned about if our supervisors get busy and sign off on it, then does that clear us or
not,
you know?
Not if I put that caveat in there, that language, you know, that in the event that it's found to be at a later date, non-compliant in some fashion, that they indemnify us and agree to undertake corrective action at their expense.
Thank you. I think that'll work.
Okay. Brad?
Okay.
Could you stay on until the commission comments? I have another thing for you.
Yep, and I'm just going through the end of the meeting.
Okay.
Okay. I have one more thing, and it's kind of a difficult thing to talk about, but it's been reported to me as well as a couple other people that we have someone running for a county office that is basically proposing the first thing they want to do is to get rid of one of the maintainers in my department. And number one, what they say and do is one thing, but I'm very upset at that because that's my responsibility, and I back these guys 110% until proven otherwise. And I just wanted to let the commission know that, you know, obviously there's nothing we can do about it or whatever else, but I stand behind my employees, and I will to the end. So just want to let you know that if you hear anything or anything else about that, that's going on. So there's nothing we can do about it, but I'm just telling you that I stand behind my employees. So.
Well, otherwise you wouldn't keep them employed.
Well, that's the whole idea, but I just, you know, I just need to make this public that I think that's dirty pool, but that's the way it goes. So, but other than that, that's all I have.
Can I ask a question? I have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna start with an easy one, Bryce. I brought up a couple of weeks ago about the mailboxes. How are you doing on that one? I know mine's still hanging there by a thread. I'm just wondering if you're making progress on the mailboxes yet?
I did not realize that any of them are that bad. If you had a specific listing of which ones,
Oh, I was just,
you know, they.
go ahead.
No, I'm just, I guess we had not heard any other problems with what we had fixed, so.
Oh, okay, well, mine was never fixed, was what I was saying. I know there was a few of them that you were out fixing, but
Yeah.
you also mentioned that you recognize that ours was damaged, and it just has not been fixed yet. And so I was just wondering
Okay.
if you had any plans of getting it fixed anytime soon, or if I need to hire somebody to fix it.
No, we will take care of that. That's not your problem.
Okay, so then my
That's
next.
not your fault, Mrs.
Okay, well, that was the easy one. I was just wondering where we were at on that, because I didn't know how many you had to do. So then my next question to you is, Bryce, I got a phone call this weekend from a lady on, I think it's Pawnee Road, that you were out doing some digging to try to get the water to drain a different direction. And so I was just wondering, I didn't get out to see it yet. I said I would. I didn't get out there yet. I will go out and look, but I did get some pictures. Something about a pipe that was broken or something, and I don't know all the details. I'm sure you do, and I was just gonna ask you if you could give us an update as to what you were doing, and then the pipe that was broken, if you determined what kind of pipe that was. She mentioned also to me something like they're getting water in the basement, and they never had before. I don't think it's substantial, but I'm just asking a question if you're aware of it, or what the plan is, or I just want an update from you, I guess, is what I'm asking.
Bryce, I had went out and looked at it.
Yeah.
I was gonna bring it up to you after the meeting,
Okay,
Well,
so,
I can tell you, I've been out there, we went out there, you know, the last 2 weeks. This is the property that had water standing on it when the guys redid some water and replaced some pipes and stuff up there a couple years ago. They didn't finish out digging the drainage farther to the south. We received permission from that landowner to go in and do that. So last 2 weeks, we went in there and dug out, so where the water will at least drain. What we did find out was that was a septic line output, or what the outlet that came right through there. And due to the drainage stuff there, it wasn't draining, so we went in and made a drainage over to that area. I can verify that that pipe was not broke, has not been broke, and that we have actually dug out the end of that pipe to find out the drainage, at what location it is and how deep it was. And we have to do some more work trying to get that septic line to drain. Now, I don't know what the legal ramifications are to put that septic line out there in that location, maybe not. But I do know that for the majority of the water that comes down there, and now it does drain farther south, goes through an entrance pipe, and as of right now, it does drain. I've talked to her. She brought up the issue of me breaking the pipe, and I said, no, I didn't. She said that the water never ponded there before. It did. So, you know, we've notified KDHE that we have been called on here a couple months ago. I did notify them that we went in there and drained that for her, and I have not heard back from them. So, like I said, my guys went out there. The pipe is still located. It's been marked, and it's a PVC pipe.
okay, so you're saying the pipe is not broken, or just that you didn't break it? I was trying to,
Well, if the pipe's broken, it had nothing to do with us, because the pipe was originally marked with a steel T-post, and I don't know if anybody even knew it was there. You know, like I said, it was all silted in and stuff like that. So it's not the best way to drain that ditch through there, because we had to kind of meander over and try to pick up this septic line out there too. So, but it definitely will drain the majority of the water that comes through there.
So you're saying that they ran a septic line to the ditch?
Yeah,
Yep.
that wouldn't.
It's in the
I
private.
don't think
it's in the
that's
private
quite.
property.
No, it would need to be tied to a lateral somewhere, and that's, so if it's broken midstream on its way to the lateral, it's dumping out in the ditch,
I
so
don't
it
know
is an
about
issue.
that. Yeah, the landowner to the south was the original landowner that owned the house before he sold it. So I don't know if that, I would assume it's a lateral field, I don't know. But like I said, that's just where the outlet comes in. So it would have, when he owned the house and the property to the south at the same time, it would have still discharged onto his own property. But now with it being, and I don't know exactly where the property line is. Maybe it is still on their property, but that's where it outlets out there, and it's still marked out there. We've got flags, and there's a steel T-post out there as to where it ends. Now, as far as the water in the basement, I would have absolutely no idea where that would be coming from. We have not changed anything that would have affected that by any nature. So.
That's why I wonder if it's not a lateral line, it needs to be connected back, and it's not actually supposed to dump in that ditch.
Again, I don't know.
Is it something we ought
No, it can't be done.
to at least have somebody look into?
Sure, Brian,
Get it-
to check it.
Say what?
Sure, they have to check it.
Yeah,
I think we need to check and find out what's going on, because something's happened, I don't know what.
right.
Jonah,
Yeah,
this is Sharon. I can go take a look at it.
very good, thank you, Sharon.
There's a good possibility that that system is failing, or that it's not tied into a lateral field.
Okay, that would be good, we just need to investigate it before it becomes a bigger deal. It doesn't need to be an issue.
Thank you, Sharon.
You're welcome.
You have anything else to add?
Otherwise, that's
Not
all
for
I have.
Brad. I'm sorry, I don't have anything else for Bryce.
Okay. All right, thanks, Bryce. All right, public comments, you seen anything come through? I haven't seen anything,
There are no messages in the chat box.
so I'll go ahead and close.
No, I mean, do you want me to just unmute all lines and then if somebody has a comment, they can speak?
We can give that a go, that might be,
Do you want to try that?
let's try it once.
Okay. Let's see if I can, see if it works.
Please, mute your devices out there. If you would like a chance to speak, you can unmute.
Tell what everybody's doing.
Okay, I don't think you have anybody that's trying to speak.
Okay, is there any public comment? Okay, with hearing none, I'm going to close this portion of the meeting to public comment, move on to commission comments. Try that. So, commission comments, the one thing I wanted to keep Brad on for was, apparently on the lot in, Hillsborough for the EMS. I was told I had to get my information from you because I have legal counsel, so, he said, it wasn't anything bad, it's just I have legal counsel with Brad, so I need to get my information from Brad.
So I will follow.
Brad, do you have any information to the lot lease agreement for the EMS station in Hillsborough?
I do not at this point. It occurred to me on Friday, and I didn't catch Josh. I had talked to him on Thursday to find out he was drafting that, and I presumed we'd have a draft of some sort a while back, and I don't know what the progress is on that. And I'm sorry, I meant to be able to tell you that at least by today, or have a copy of something that I could produce for the board. So I'll call him today and provide an email to everyone as to what's happening. As far as I know, he's drafting that with instruction from the city, and that's as far as we've gotten.
Okay. Then the other thing was, we need to ask Brad about the tax sale and all, or that's ironed out, I believe.
Yeah, but this locations aren't a question we have.
Yeah, no, it's anybody else have anything for Brad, or we'll just go on to the commission comments?
I was good. Brad, do you have anything to report on, anything, or have you heard anything at all from Diamond Vista up north yet, or are we still just hanging?
No, I sent another email on Friday indicating that we had a meeting today, and would kind of like to get a reaction to our current position. I have not, as of this moment, I just checked a little bit ago again, just in case something had come through.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, I think that's all I have for Brad at all. Is there any other commission comments?
Just commission comments?
Or
Brad, I had one thing, I don't know if you have any knowledge of this, but, I had a constituent call me and he said that, his insurer was going to double the amount of his property insurance due to lack of access for emergency vehicles. Now, he lives on a gravel road, but I had never heard of that before. Have you ever heard anything like that?
No, not unless you're completely landlocked in some fashion, which normally is then fixed by a prescriptive easement. I'd have to have more information from him. Each of these insurance carriers have their own approach, as most people know, about evaluation, but there's sort of a standard and a business practice that all of them are held to, as well as in our insurance commissioner state standards. And I've not heard that before at all.
I've never heard of that before either.
By way of even a rock road, that you would necessarily consider that sufficiently inaccessible to double rate.
Property insurance?
He didn't tell me who had the insurance, but
Maybe he needs to change carriers, huh?
yeah, but I mean, that would be kind of eye-opening if all of a sudden I got that letter.
Yeah, I would have real concerns about it myself. I'd probably want to have them explain where they get the idea they can do that.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Enough for Brad.
Okay.
Randy Collins sent an ad thing, and it's $6,754 full-page ad in that travel guide.
And that's just that piece? That isn't covering what
The listings.
the listings would be?
No, that's just
Okay.
if you put all the listings on that page. I think we used that page for ourselves. Do whatever we want to do.
Something to think about.
Just for the information.
Yeah, I'll definitely look at it. The thing I had was, I don't know, it was something that come up a while back, and it was a Marion County Surface Water Advisory Board, where the allocation of 1 mil or half a mil was in the annual budget, roughly about $15,000. Trying to remember what all the details were, but I know that the lack of the board, we miss out on some KDHE funding.
Why not having
It's not having the board to realign the water in Marion County. And I'm not sure, I'm not the most educated on this, I just didn't know if some of you guys, maybe Randy knows.
Does with drainage and stuff, you mean?
I think it's more about servicing water. So like the water treatment plant in Marion and one in Hillsborough, and they feed Peabody, and I think it's more of an alignment committee that allows a way for us to show that we're doing it for Marion County, that allows us money from KDHE.
I thought that you had a representative on that board. I thought the county had a representative on that.
Okay.
I can look back.
Yeah.
So is that, you're talking about a county board?
A county
regional board?
County board, as far as what is.
So the person from Marion County, would that be like a regional?
That would probably be more regional, but I will dig back into it more. It's been a minute since I heard about it, looked at it. I just thought I'd throw that out there if anybody had heard anything. And sometimes when I bring stuff like this up, the public will let me know what I need to know. Randy turned his mic on.
All three of those cities that you mentioned, plus there's a few others that have your ponds, lagoons and things, if that's where you was headed with it, Jonah.
I'm not.
And they have to own that property.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I was just under the impression that there was fund available if we had a board for our water in the county. But I will dig back into it more, like I said.
Okay.
That's all I have. Something I dropped the ball on about a month ago.
So I have just a suggestion, and that is, on our agenda, if we could add, or if we would think about adding another category, one of them being unfinished business or old business or something, because it is the history of this county. As long as I've been on the commission, we do discuss a lot of stuff, and then it falls through the cracks. And I'm just wondering, I know of some of my other boards, we have unfinished business or old business.
Old business and
those,
new business, yes.
yes, those subject matters are oftentimes then brought up, and we can keep them going until there is a solution to whatever the subject would be. And I just think that would be something that would be helpful. I've got my page here listed of all kinds of stuff that's old business that I was gonna bring up, but as we went through the course, other people brought some of the subjects up too. But to keep remembering that, it gets kind of tough. And so I just think it would be a good thing to put on our agenda if the other boards consider it as well.
If it's just a listing of old business and new business, I mean, it's just another category. I mean, how are we gonna keep track, I guess? I'm asking you if we can improve on that, because I've seen that before, of old business, new business, but most of the time, it comes up and then everybody's like, I don't remember the old business, so.
Well, I can find out several different ways it can be brought up. I mean, some of the things, okay, well, I can bring up some of the things that we had discussed, like in the past. Of course, one of the things, of course, is the employee pay. The other thing, of course, that I'm thinking of right offhand is the update of the employee handbook. Just different things that we had discussed that, well, and I'm speaking for myself, are very important. But we just go on and on and on and on and never really come to a conclusion or start. And I know we've been busy and there's been a lot of other stuff, but just to keep these things at the forefront so that we can keep thinking about them. And then as information comes up, we can at least discuss it and add it to our knowledge of the subject matters, or whatever.
As far as putting it on the agenda, I don't have any problem with old business, new business being on the agenda, as long as there's not an issue with Brad or anything at the county level.
And maybe we could even, as commissioners, is throughout the week, if we come up with something that we think, oh, doggone, we need to discuss that, maybe we can call Tina or whatever, and just have it added, or I don't know how we would wanna do it, but.
Yeah.
I used to do a list, you know, for several years I did that, where I would just try to keep track of anything that you guys talked about but that you didn't take action on. And it was just a sheet that I would send out, was outstanding items for completion. Randy, you might remember that. And I just kind of gave up on it after a while.
Got long, huh?
Yeah.
Well, it just stayed long, probably. That's.
So I had a section at the top of things that, you know, kind of where things were, and then at the bottom, I had a place where when we had taken care of it, I put it under there so that the board had a good sense of what they actually had done. But
maybe if it was just, you know, some of the simple items we discuss are higher priority than other. If it's kind of a high priority thing, you know, just like we were talking about a shed or something out at the county lake.
Mm-hmm.
You know, after a month or so, you do tend to, unless, you know, somebody brings back a report to you, you tend to fall through the cracks.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, and who's to say what's a high priority and what isn't? Because to one person, maybe something that doesn't seem as high a priority might be. But
Maybe.
You know, those kind of things, it's kind of nice to, at least things that we've spoken about in the last 4 to 6 weeks, something like that. Otherwise, you know, you're gonna have pages full.
Well, I just wonder if there should be a collective whiteboard or something that instead of putting it on Tina, we could jot down a bullet
You
point.
could be the Carl Rove.
I'm good with the whiteboard. I'm down with that. I gotta get one about this big.
You know, something like that'd be fine, you know.
Whatever, I mean, I'm just saying, I know there's a lot of things that we really probably do need to address, or at least think about again, refresh, whatever, but we just didn't get to it yet.
Okay.
So, that's my comment.
I'm all right with putting it on the agenda as long as everybody else is old business and new business.
And if there is no old business, there's no old business.
Yeah, it moves
Just like
pretty
public
fast.
comment, if there is none, there is none.
Yeah. So, Randy, I seen his mic come on and I just.
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I just wanna make sure you get heard.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm fine.
Well, any other commissioner comments?
Well, Tina sent us a copy last week of the letter that went out from the Morton County Commission in regards to phased-in reopenings. I think it was very appropriate coming from a county that has had either none or very few. You know, just emphasizing to our governor that, you know, not one size fits all on these reopenings, and I just see the pain that some of these small businesses are going through, that
Right.
why they were still restricted and not considered essential.
Well, everybody we got here is essential.
That's always been my thought too. I don't know who.
And I don't know if it would be in the best interest of the county for us to draft a letter similar.
Well, I would vote for that.
No,
I mean, I think the
businesses
way they
need a
stated it
chance.
was very, very good.
They can work within the rules like the rest of us had to, and we had to figure out 6 feet, we had to figure out all these things.
Either that or allow some of the counties to have a little more authority for reopening.
I would agree with everything that Kent said. I think we need to, and I would like to send a letter from the county to the governor, just as Morton County did, because we are gonna have a very struggling county. You know, and what our county doesn't do, you know, other counties are doing that. I say this all the time. What I can't do here, you can go to Salina and do it. You know, I was at Salina this weekend. Man, people everywhere.
You get your hair cut?
I didn't get my hair cut, I'm going to Oklahoma for that, but, but I'm just saying,
Next week,
you can't do stuff
next
here, but
week.
you can other places.
I thought it was quite interesting
killing
last week
ourselves.
on the
Hey, Kent.
news, they did have a,
Can you speak into your microphone?
oh, they did have a breakout map on the news, which was kind of hard to read, about the number of unemployment filings for each county. And of course, you know, they were talking about Sedgwick County, but I could see out there in Marion County, and maybe you saw
We
that.
had 500,
It was like 483,
something.
and I'm thinking, that's a bunch in Marion County.
Yeah.
You know, and I realize that if they can draw the unemployment, they're also getting the,
But how many, some of it, you gotta think, is how many of them were unemployed prior to this too?
yeah.
There are some.
Yeah, they probably, but I kind of was taken back that we had that many. You know, and I know there's a lot of people that work out of the county that have probably been affected, but it's affecting them greatly.
Yeah, I'm all for figuring out how you can let a business owner find a way to make it work.
I think we should put more confidence in our
I mean, we
business
already have
owners.
the example for McPherson for last week, so. But I don't know, I just thought I'd get a feel of whether the commission would like to draft a letter to send.
I'll second your motion.
I mean, I'm guessing there's probably been a number of these counties, but this is one that Tina, and it was very well written, I thought.
Well, I mean, take a little different spin on it, you know, they got all these sanctuary cities, we could definitely make a sanctuary county.
Want to do that.
And look at all the protests. People are just, you know,
Yeah.
enough.
No, I'm in favor of the letter, you know, let's speed up a little bit, Laura.
I agree.
And since we don't have any, open up the hospitals and, like I said, the beauty shops and barber shops, the restaurants, you know, as long as they can.
Right, yeah, I mean, it's
Do the
mitigation
thing.
methods, and it's something that everybody was allowed to be open. They did that. These people never got a chance.
Yeah.
Never got a chance to try to do it.
And they would, you know, I look at barber shops, beauty shops, it'd be very easily for them to mitigate.
Yeah. Especially in our area, I mean, we're not talking
Yeah, we
about
don't
20
have
deep.
Plus, you know,
10
people,
chairs in one shop.
people have to take responsibility. If I choose to walk into a barber shop or a beauty shop or whatever, I'm taking a lot of that responsibility myself for my health. You can't always blame it on the shop. You can't always blame it on the business person. I mean, if I'm at risk or something, I should stay away. That's my choice. So, I just think we need to give our businesses a chance to get back.
Yeah, you know, ask Brad to draft us a letter.
I'd be in favor of that, if the commission is.
I'm in favor of it.
Do we have to have him do it or Bettina do it?
I think it'd probably be best with Brad.
But even, you know, even then, I had to take a grandchild to the dentist the other day. The only one there was the dentist. There was nobody in the office, there was no hygienist, there was nothing. And he was pretty confused on what he's supposed to do, other than he's supposed to come out and ask a person, and you know, the questions. And he finally just kinda got discouraged. He says, I forget everything I'm supposed to do, but I can't call my employees back yet.
That's sad, it's so sad. And I hate to be a part of that, what
I
we're doing
mean,
to our
that was,
business owners.
the Morton County letter is, from what I read, it'd be a nice type letter to kind of dovetail on. You know, I hate to ask Brad, you know, just put it in your own words. I'm sure there's probably some other examples out there too.
Actually, I think since the letter is a representation of the commissioners, I think Tina could draft that up.
Okay.
I mean, just as effective as Brad, and I really do. I mean, I've seen Tina draft letters before, she does very well, and it would be a letter from the commissioners. I don't think they have their lawyer do it, did they? Each commissioner signed it.
So we could send it out this week?
Well, I can draft it and then we can send it out Monday,
Just-
so that way you can sign it and look at it.
I'm just, yeah, no, I was trying not to put more workload on Tina, I just, you know.
Or Brad.
Yeah. Well, Brad.
Well, actually, Brad, yeah,
Brad works for us.
I know.
Tina doesn't.
Okay, well, Tina, you can refuse if you like.
If you'd rather have Brad drafted, I don't have any problem with that.
I don't have a problem either way, so.
Okay, well, if you don't have a problem, then thank you. All right, anybody else with anything? Anybody else with anything? I gotta get up to my mic. Okay. Randy, say something?
Nope.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right, I'll second that motion. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Thank you, Randy.
Yeah.
See ya.
Nice way to rein it in.
All righty.